Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another live chat. I'm here in the studio with Abeer Okaz, who, Abeer, you tell us who you are. Welcome, first of all. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you very much, Nikki.
Abeer, tell us about your journey. Who are you?
Okay, so my name is Abeer. I come from Alexandria, Egypt. I work at Forest University as a director of studies and academic consultant. I am also the NILE, the Nourish Institute for Language Education and Transform ELT consultant. I have been in ELT for over 24 years, 15 of which focused on management, organizational management back at the university. Teacher training and giving courses like I'm a CELTA tutor as well, and focusing on teacher training mainly.
So you've got the whole range of the spectrum. You've been the teacher, you're the trainer, you're also involved in the management side of the business.
Yeah.
Okay. And how has your IATEFL experience been so far? Have you seen anything particularly useful, memorable for you?
Well, IATEFL is always useful. I mean, it's not just a conference. You meet a lot of people, you socialize, you network, you get to meet new people. I've met today someone who I've been texting for some time through another teacher training program, and we've had lunch together. So it's kind of interesting to see how a lot of people from different parts of the world are in one place. Yes, I've attended different sessions. I've attended the plenaries. I've attended the one with Mark today on pronunciation, the one on lesson planning with Gabriella. So yeah, a lot of different sessions. Anna, I've attended Anna's session on CELTA online. So different sessions. Jeremy Harmer yesterday. So very interesting sessions. Yes.
So you're taking a lot from it, that's the whole point. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
And what's your specialization? What are you focusing on at the moment?
Okay, so two things. One is teacher training. So making sure that teachers are ready to come back to class after a 2-year online, and in the training itself. So let's say training, part of which is for teachers and the other part is for the admin team, and this what was the focus of my presentation is I think we sometimes ignore the admin team who is working side by side with the teachers. So mainly I'm focusing on teacher training and doing CELTAs at the same time, along with researching. I'm very into, I'm trying to look into an action research that I can start very soon. I've talked to several people and they've said, okay, so you're doing this and this and that. Why don't you start a mini action research? So I think I'm going to try this one before my next IATEFL.
I think this is fantastic. I think this is something that as practitioners, as teachers, we should be doing, because we can, experiment, we can have an intervention and see what happens. And then we can...
I've never thought about it, you know. I thought action research is for researchers and for PhD holders, you know what I mean?
Any teacher can do it. And I think that's what's going to help move us forward, because we're the ones in the classroom.
Yeah.
And therefore, what we're finding and what we're using is good to document and to spread the word.
Lots of data, you know. I mean, looking backward, and then when you listen to someone presenting, you say, oh, okay, I've tried this one, I've tried this technique, and then a research came out of it. So I think the next part is going to be focusing more on action research.
Okay, well, all the best with that. That's very exciting. Let's talk about your presentation a little bit. So your presentation was all about coming back, the transition back into face-to-face teaching after the pandemic. Can you tell us what you focused on, what your advice was?
Okay, so basically, for the past year and a half, we were all talking about going from face-to-face to online. And then this was a great opportunity to talk about how we brought back our students to campus. And because it's a huge campus, and we have more than 14,000 students. And every semester we have around 3,000 in the English Language Center. So bringing them back and making sure they are comfortable coming back to what was norm before. So I stopped for a second and thought, okay, so what do the teachers need? basically I focus on what teachers need, what students need, and what the admin need. So my presentation focused on the kind of support that we provided our students, teachers, and admin during this period, and the junior management team who's starting to take responsibilities to make the transition smooth. And basically, the support focused on 4 areas. And increasing communication, more communication, especially that in the past, I mean, during the pandemic, we were all on WhatsApp or Flock or Slack, or now we're face to face. So we're trying to do untraditional gatherings, making sure there is social distancing as well. So trying to celebrate things, events that maybe we haven't had the chance to do it during the pandemic. So communication and ownership is giving ownership to, promoting ownership to either students or teachers.
Can you explain what that term actually means? I've heard it, used quite a lot, and it might not be as transparent as it seems.
Okay, so basically it's not a one-man show. So assigning smaller teams and checking which areas of interest the teachers are interested in and assigning them a role. For example, we're starting a newsletter. So who's interested in being in this team? So this group of teachers. We're trying to improve the quality of our online learning. So who's interested in technology and apps and researching and finding? So we have another team. So smaller teams, and they are responsible, fully responsible. All they have to do is just report back and say, we've tried this, we've tried that, this worked, this didn't work. And I think this gives a value to what they are doing. So instead of only, because teaching can be very daunting, and sometimes it gets boring once you've done it for so many years, unless there is a change in what you're doing. So, and the same for students. Since we're having Blackboard as our virtual learning platform, we're trying to encourage them to decide what kind of reading they would like to read on. If they would like their tasks to be given first and then the answer key later, or they would rather have both. So moving control from the teacher and the management to others. And the same with the admin team. I feel that most of the time we tend to not know who's behind the camera. And so the same. So the admin team, I meet, okay, so guys, this is what we're going to be doing this semester. What are your ideas? You do it, see if it works, we go along. If not, we change it and we take it from there.
So a lot more autonomy.
Yeah.
And a lot more autonomy than there was pre-pandemic?
Yes, yes. Because when the pandemic hit everyone, I'm the director, so everyone came back to me, what do we do? And then I had someone on board who's very good with technology. So the focus, was us only. When now, if we have to stay home, or if we have another kind of pandemic that forbids or anything, we have other people who are specialized in this, so we can divide the load and the pressure, and then we can learn from each other. And it doesn't matter how old or young this person is, as long as they can research and find a way to put it into effect positively, then why not?
And how has the transition been for your organization? Has it been smooth? Have there been a few hiccups?
Smooth, because I think we did it in stages. We didn't just come back to work. So as I mentioned in my presentation, the teachers came first and the students were staying home during the summer of last year. And then when we brought the students back, we divided our classes into 2 halves. So not all the students come to one time slot. We have 2 different time slots. So I think this helped in the transition. So we don't have crowded classes. We don't have too many questions at the same time. It's helping. Also having the Blackboard is also helping. Because when we started, we did not have an online component into our curriculum, and we had to use Google Classroom as the first thing we've thought of is Google Classroom.
Right.
But later on, when we've realized that blended learning is going on and online learning is going on, it's not going anywhere. The university bought Blackboard, so everyone now can have their own dashboard with the material. So I think also the transition into Blackboard went gradually. So first we've just posted materials, extra materials, and then later on we started looking into it, and we found that we still have students who are staying for 2 weeks at home because they are sick. So we started replicating our classes by asking the teachers to record their lessons on Camtasia and then uploading it on Blackboard. So this was it was used by students who were absent and by students who would like to listen again to what took place during class time. Now we're going into assessment, how we can use the Blackboard to assess students if the student miss a class, or if it's a national, like for example, past months we had too many days were off. So what are you going to do? So we're moving gradually into the transition back to fully face-to-face.
It's also quite useful, isn't it, perhaps for the teacher, if the lesson's been recorded, then you have a record of not only what you've done, but then when you come back to it potentially a year later, it reminds you of how you did it and what you did last time, and you can adapt it or not, depending on the group.
Yeah, the best part about the program we're using is you can actually bring it in and you can start cutting it into pieces. And if we've changed any of the items that we've taught last year or last semester, but we still value the videos that was done, we can just take maybe the language part out and add a different one. It doesn't matter if we have two people on the same, or two teachers on the same video. Or we felt that this video needed extra tasks, so we would add at the end a link to an extra task or maybe an extra part of it. So yes, I think the videos are very important, and even though there was a debate on whether should the videos be a replicate of the class or should they be completely different. So I'm still researching this, because one thing I've maybe said, okay, so maybe we don't post the video before the class, maybe post it after. So we don't want students to, we miss our students, we want them to come back to class, but students are still somewhere in between.
Sure.
They're still not ready to come back. Maybe they just preferred staying at home. And also when they come back, they have the other subjects. English is always a subject that they have to take rather than the other.
So this is compulsory for them.
It is compulsory. And students who have full load, so they have 18 credit hours and have to finish during the semester. Sometimes it's a bit crazy, especially after staying at home for 2 years, So that's why we're looking into, do we replicate it or do we have a completely different content? But the idea itself is staying. I think it's a very important one.
The idea of this kind of hybrid or blended learning. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And knowing what you know now, is there anything else that you might have done differently in order to support the transition a little bit more, or has it worked quite well?
It has worked. I think it has worked quite well. I don't think there's anything that I regret not doing so far. But there is always a lot like attending the sessions here. Like yesterday with Hania, she talked about a new idea in assessment, and I think it makes sense. So maybe go back and try new things. But if we go backward, I don't think I would have changed anything.
Okay, well that's very positive.
Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed that we don't have to go back.
But again, one of the sessions I attended this morning was talking is now we're better ready than before. So even if, God forbids, anything happens, at least we know where to go in comparison to March 2020.
Yeah, we were dancing in the dark there, I think, for sure.
Yes, we were.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for telling. It's quite an inspirational story. I just have one last question.
Sure.
If you could describe your IATEFL experience in 3 words, what would they be?
3 words: engaging, challenging, because there are too many sessions I want to attend, and this is one drawback for the face-to-face, because with the online, we had the recording, so we could go back. So engaging, challenging, and exciting.
Okay, very, very positive words.
Thank you.
Abeer, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nikki, for your time.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for watching as well at home. Thank you.
Thank you.